Moving on, we have Mr. Q from Casella on the solid waste disposal system. Mr. Q, I do apologize, we're running late, but please welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, member of the board. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak. I'll try and make up for the backed up time here. Everybody should have in their package a piece of paper that says New Hampshire Solid Waste Capacity Talking Points. Why am I here? 2022 for solid waste is going to be a raucous year. Legislature, I've already read the bills. There will be numerous bills concerning waste, new sightings, importing waste, exporting waste. So what's going to happen is over the year, you're going to start hearing stuff. My job, I am the Director of Landfill Development for Casella. My job is to make sure that certain facts are out there, because if we just went by certain newspaper articles or whatever, you would only get one side. These 6 facts that you have were written by the Casella Legal Department. We are a publicly traded company. We can't write anything that isn't true, or it gets kind of ugly. So just read these when you have a moment. They're important. I will tell you that the reason there is a disposal crisis in New Hampshire is that right now every landfill is at capacity. It doesn't mean they can't take more waste. It means they are at daily capacity. They can't take more every day. They can take what they want. Casella has a landfill, and this is not a pitch for Casella. This is really just facts for everybody. Casella has a landfill in Bethlehem that will be closing over the next 2 years. Its airspace is done. It's trying to site a landfill in Dalton, another story, another time. But we service 150 communities in the state of New Hampshire, and everybody else is full, so we don't have to be, math wizards here. In 2 years, when we're done, or 3 years, if we stretch it out, and we have no place else to go, there'll be 150 communities that need to dispose of their waste. We have a robust curbside subscription program with this town. It runs very well. I think they're happy with us. We're happy with you. We don't know how much longer we're going to be able to do certain things because of the amount of airspace that we have left, and the process that DES is making sure we go through to site a new site in Dalton, which is what our goal is. We have customers in certain towns in New Hampshire already are feeling the crunch. They are shipping their waste to New York. They are paying triple the amount of hauling, triple. And where does that go? Where does that charge come from? It comes from the citizens and taxes. And it's something that can be avoided. We are fighting it. Waste Management's fighting it. The Republic's fighting it. We're all fighting it. It is a common sense bill. We do not have the capacity to handle waste over the next 8 years, 9 years. If you look at the first point, that backs that up. The second point is the 50,000 households and 5,000 businesses that we deal with. We have 80%, Casella is very proud of this. There's a lot of talk about out-of-state waste. Casella has 80% in-state. We have exported as well as imported. So we will be, when we close, and we will close Bethlehem in a few years, there will be 80% in the state of New Hampshire that right now will be scrambling for a place to go. This all ties into the plan that Casella has to build a landfill, site a landfill in Dalton, New Hampshire, which is up by Bethlehem. In case you don't know, you probably do, but we are in the process of, have been in the process for over a year. We are fighting the battle. There is a very loud opposition. I don't know if they're plentiful, but they're plenty loud, and they are stalling it at every turn. We will eventually, over the next year or two, be forced to even slow down more of what we take in. so we can at least stay open while this process goes on. It takes about 4 years to site a landfill, and we have about 2 to 3 years of waste airspace left. The final point, and again, I would ask you all just to take a look at this on your own. It is important, and you will feel it eventually. If you don't feel it this year, you will next year, is that Casella is also volunteering to build a MRF in probably Manchester or the Manchester area. New Hampshire is not good at recycling. It's just too expensive for most of the smaller towns. This would cut costs exponentially. The hall is the biggest part of it, and we would build one there. That would be part of the deal if we site the Dalton landfill. We will, it's in writing contract, that we will build a MRF immediately in the Manchester area wherever we site it. So that's all part of this. You have my contact information. I gave it to Mr. McCarthy. I believe he has it. I brought a bunch of business cards. If anybody, I'm kind of a dinosaur, I'll just leave them on the end of the table. If anybody has any questions about any of this, I'd be happy to talk to you privately. I'd be happy to answer any questions right now if you have any. And thank you again for your time. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the board?
No? Okay.
Seeing none, what is the expectation? What are you looking for, or what is the ideal, kind of outcome from this conversation, or the ideal outcome that you're looking for from towns?
Okay, so the way I divided my travels through New Hampshire, I have 100 somewhat communities to talk to, is I went by senator and their district. So Senator Morse's district here for you. When votes come, Senator Morse has been okay with us. We won actually a couple of really important bills last year that were brought in. We knocked them out. There's some of them, but there's going to be a lot more this year. And I believe last year for the town, it didn't bother you, but I did send a letter to your select board email and just said, this is a letter. I mean, I didn't expect anybody to really react to it that much. It just, nobody really talks about waste until, of course, it's building up on your street, and then you start talking about it. But I would reach out again, it would be me. And I would reach out again and just, say, Senator Morse could use a call, an email, whatever. It's just to say that we, support Casella's right to try. You don't have to support us. You don't have to say anything like that, but the right to attempt to permit a landfill because it's necessary. It really is. There is a real shortage coming, and those of us in the landfill business, and I've spoken to some of you, some transfer stations in the area, where people drop off, and a lot of the guys reacted pretty well. Very colorful guy. I just left him. Gosh, I can't think of the town. He talked to me for about 45 minutes, which was good because I got here 2 hours early anyway. I would have really been early if he hadn't slowed me down for a bit. So we need to address this. Senator Morse would, he needs to listen to his constituents. So if, you feel one way or the other, let him know either way. We stand behind what we're saying. I believe that facts and science are on the side of the business in this particular case, and that a lot of emotions, a lot of screaming and yelling, but you need to, Casella or Waste Management Republic does not generate waste. We don't generate it. I don't know why everybody's so negative about it. We just take care of everybody else's, and there's a lot of it, and it hasn't declined. We just got the waste report. New Hampshire's is basically the same. It's running a flat line from year to year, up 1 year, down a point 1 year, up a point the other year. So it's not going away. It needs to be addressed. Right now you're comfortable, but eventually everybody's going to be a little uncomfortable.
Okay, so there's a landfill shortage. Casella's proposing a solution, and it would be really helpful if the communities that are served by Senator Morse could say, hey, listen, we like Casella's idea. We would support it. Senator Morse, we would like you to support it as well.
Yeah, that is exactly what we'd like.
Okay.
Right. You said that better than me. Thanks. I appreciate
I've done this before.
Yeah.
Mr. Cody.
So is Casella's stance only to do landfills? Are they looking into any other technologies or building incinerators for renewable energy? Like, it seems here that the only speaking points we have are for landfills.
Okay.
Now, we have a landfill in Pelham that's, I don't know how many miles away from here. And I believe there was some leakage that made it all the way to the high school, is that correct? So I'm just concerned that the only solution that we're seeing here is a landfill.
It's not the only, not to interrupt you, I'm sorry.
Yep, no, so my
It's-
question to you is, what's Casella doing to, because I'm following what's going on up in Dalton as well, and that, what's going on over there, but I'm just trying to figure out what is Casella's stance with trying to promote and look towards the future and some of the technology that are coming out now.
Okay, so Casella actually is the leader. We are the leading recycler on the east coast of the United States. We have a recycle center in Charlestown, Massachusetts, outside of Boston, and it recycles and reuses more waste, more recyclables than any other state on the east coast of the United States. So that's one. Two, we take all our gas from landfills, and I'll get to your question, and we put that into renewable energy. Right now, we generate at Bethlehem, we generate a certain amount of megawatts, and they go right to the grid, and so they are there. And that used to be gas that was burnt in flares. We have stepped up every day for technology. I, myself, am tasked with meeting a lot of the new technology people. We react to them according to credibility. A lot of them have no place we can check with what the kind of technology they're doing. It's in a lab. We're not going to be the guinea pigs, but we are going to listen. And if it makes sense, and we have a group of engineers and scientists that are at the corporate level in our company that review everything that is possible as far as modernizing. The idea of just burying waste seems pretty archaic at this point. By the way, I just can't work around this pole when I talk to you here. So I do understand it. I understand there is nothing attractive about a landfill. I've spoken to large percentages of the towns in New Hampshire, and 90% of the reaction is, we don't hate landfills, we just don't want them in our town, you know, and quite honestly, that seems to be the belief. The reason that this is added, is directed towards landfills, is the disposal crisis is an immediate crisis. We know what we need to do. We found a spot. We will change the second there is a better way to do it. We yank everything out we can now to recycle it, so we minimize the amount of waste that actually gets buried. Again, burying waste just seems to me like we should be doing better than that. But we do, if it's any satisfaction or any comfort, which I'm sure it isn't, we do landfills at the highest level, the most compliant. We are the heaviest regulated business in New England is disposal. And we have strict and compliant issues that we need to deal with every day, everything from air to water to waste to mud to slides to neighbors, interaction with neighbors. We have to pass those every day. So we think we have the resolution to a disposal issue for the next 10 to 15 years, all right? Because I don't know how long it will go, but there will be a technology that comes up that will grab us, and we'll go with that, and we'll lead with that too, because we are, John Casella is the owner of the company, president of the company. He is all over, just find what's best. We have Massachusetts, we have college students that are science and engineers, environmental people working on this stuff for us. I mean, the young mind sometimes is the place you find it. You know, some old timers like myself, you know, bury it cleanly and make sure we don't see it and it doesn't bother anybody, and we're okay. And make sure it's compliant. But we are working on it. Okay. And any other questions? No.
Other questions?
Thank you for that, Kevin. Okay.
Thank you. I think we're all set.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, everyone. Good night, and
We appreciate
Merry
you coming.
Christmas or Happy Holidays too.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Merry Christmas, thank you.